today we will talk about very important concept in R. One of the data types in R, data frame, is very famous and very efficient for controlling big data. So today we will talk about the whole grammar part of the data frame as well as the inputs related functions too. Okay, look at this slide. To make the data frame, we have several ways for that. First is the usage with that table. I need after calling with that table functions, the input data is internally transformed into the data frame. So we can use the with that table function for creating data frame. Second is data dot frame function. So as you can see the function name, we can make the data frame with the data dot frame function. So using this function, we can combine data types such as character and integer and save them into the form of the data frame. The last one is edge.data.frame function. We can convert various types of data object into data frame. So please remember 3 ways for creating data frame. And please take a photo this slide page and frequently take a look your photo album of your cell phone every day. After 2 or 3 weeks, you can naturally memorize the way of creating data frames automatically. So as I talk to you, please take a look and take further the important and memory necessary slides for yourself. All right. So before exercise, you can understand each comment together first. Look first to look at the left side. That means the comment, right? Prompt, right? So after prompt, this comment means, oh, that is very simple. So we can test it in console, right? So if you put this comment, we can make a repetition. The REP is the abbreviation of the repetition. So repetition is a function because REP is followed by soft brace, just brace, and closing brace, blank, right? So that is one of the function, right? So using repetition function, we can repeat the letters from 1 to 3. So letters first is the A, right? And B and C. So we can repeat A, B, C, right? How many? Using vector function together. So inside of the vector function, we can specify the number of the repetition. So A is 2, B is 2, and C is just 1, right? So using the repetition function and vector function, we can make the vector consist of various data, right? How about this? We want to repeat the number from number 1 to 3 without letter, right? How many with the vector function? 1 is 2, 2 is 2, and 3 is just 1. So 1, 1, 2, 2, 3 vector is generated. And then we can make data frame with data.frame function with the parameter character 1 and number 1. So character 1 is the character, right? However, the number one has the numeric data, right? So my point is, using data.frame function, we can make the table formats sample data, but they consist of various data types, such as character and numeric data, right? So after that, you can check the uh, data using the variable typing only, right? So we can test it together right now. So please open your R Studio and then exercise together. So you can make the variable name and assignment operator and repetition function. Please read the repetition function's definition exactly. REP replicates the values in X. It is a generic function, and the internal default method is described here. So if we want to check the additional information, you can press F1, right? And then check the bottom right side, okay? And rep.int and rep_len are faster simplifier versions for two common cases. So when you look at function's name, maybe first function can control integer very efficiently, and rep_len is the abbreviation for the length. So we can control the data length very efficiently. Anyway, regarding use of switch methods, we consider the x parameter in the first place. So what kind of data, such as the letter or integer and so on, do you want to repeat, right? So please read the argument. X is the vector, right? So vector or a vector, we did not learn the vector and factor in detail. We can cover it later, so don't worry about it. Anyway, the vector simply is the group of the characters or integers. So I mean, if you consider two or more data, that means a vector, right? So please compare this. If you consider the repeat the letters from 1 to 3, that means A, B, C, right? So A, B, C is the larger than two words, right? Two alphabet. So that means the generated result is the vector, not a single alphabet, right? So anyway, we can consider a vector or objects or projects or data objects anyway. So some objects. So you should know first what is the vector. So we will cover soon. Don't worry about it. And the further argument to be passed or from other methods. For the internal default method, these can include the times, length, not out, each, and so on. So don't worry about the remaining further arguments. We will cover them flexibly based on our interested examples, so don't worry. Okay, and details. So you can read the detailed part all by yourself, all right? So roughly look at and then just keep, because we better consider the main point first, and then we can exercise with the real more exciting examples with the additional usage of the details, alright? Okay, so please look at this and you can try the enough examples in console. So you can check the uh, many and each comment. All right. So you can do it. And if we are okay after main point, we can check together. So we can copy and paste and paste here. So we will do it. Okay, so we will cover later after main point, alright? Don't worry about it. Anyway, so we will go ahead for the repetition usage. So repeat function, but letters, alright? So letters are constants built into R, right? From alphabet is the default value, and right, and you can specify square phrase, and you should put the from to. So that is the starting point, that is the stop. Okay, and then you can put how many repetitions are necessary for that, for each alphabet. So choose one. So what is the C? C is the function for vector generation. So if you call the C function like that, oh, we want to make a vector, but the vector space is total 5. So 2, 2, 1. And then what kind of data do you want to put there? The letters, right? So A is 2, B is 2, and C is just 1. So after that, oh, sorry, I omit S, right? After that, we can check the final vector with the variable name character 1, alright? How about the another type of vector with numbers, right? So we can make the another variable name, number 1, and assignment operator, repetition, right? And just without letters, just numbers. The starting is 1, and stop is 3, right? Then the vector space is same, right? So we can make another vector with numbers, right? After that, we can make data frame. So we can make the data frame related variable name and assignment operator data dot frame. So data frame creates data frames, tightly coupled collections of variables which share many of properties of metrics and of lists used as the fundamental data structure by most R modeling software. So we will cover metrics and lists soon for the another data type in R, so don't worry about it. My point is, you can make natural and hybrid data type with the data frame function, such as the first column is the alphabet or string, second column is only numbers, and so on. So each column has its own data type. After that, if we look at data frame consists of several data types, right? So we can consider natural big data finally. So my point is data frame is very, very efficient in R and data analysis. All right. So we can make a data frame with data.frame function, and you can put the input parameters with each variable like that. So after that, we can think a whole data type, including the alphabet vector and numeric vector together, right? So in this case, we only consider the separation of the each vector, right? But using data.frame function as an input, we can hybrid each vectors together and make a data frame finally, right? So you should exercise this example in console with very enough time because it is very basic and important concept. So please capture this screen together and then paste your trace at the bottom of your audio file, and then please take a photo with your cell phone, and then every day please frequently check this photo in your photo album of your cell phone. So every day, oh, I can make a vector 1 and vector 2 using hybrid of repeats and C function. And then finally, I can make a data frame with data.frame function like that. Okay, so you can extend with your own idea. Then you can make another data frame type. Then you can paste your trace at the bottom of your audio file also. All right. So we learned about repetition and C function and data.frame function today. So we will summarize our new functions today. Post your writing notes in your audio file together. So you go to the function part, then write down our new functions. Right. So you can put your own new functions. Repeat. Okay. Repetition of letters or integers and so on, right? Of course, alright. Of course, you can think of strings too, right? And see the please be careful about C is not capital but lowercase. So C is the function for vector generation. you can put two or more data as an input parameter in C function. And we also run about data frame function. So we can make a data frame with the data frame function. So we can put the two or more vectors, right? Vectors as an input parameter for data frame the function. Yeah, so please look at the function part. Up until now, we consider 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. About around 14 functions we learned already, right? So as I mentioned before very frequently, after one semester, we can cover thoroughly around over at least 50 or 70 up to 100 functions. Of course, we can learn about the enough reserved words, packages, data sets, and so on. So please write down your own each category both in your notes and your Word file. Alright? Okay. Someday we will also consider packages, so don't worry about it. Alright. Okay. And we also talk about the class function. So using class function, we can check each data type for each variable. For example, you can type class and then read the exact definition here. Class. Class is a simple generic function mechanism which can be used for an object-oriented style of programming. Method dispatch takes place based on class of the first parameter to the generic function. So we can check it together. So you can put the variable name, right? We already made the character 1 variable, the above side. The variable has only character data, right? So data type of the character 1 is just character. Okay? How about number 1? That is integer, as I talked to you before, right? Alright. How about data frame? Yeah, that is data type is the data frame. Alright? So using class function, we can get the specific data type of the each variable. Alright? Okay. So we talk about the how can we make a data frame using hybrid another functions together, right? And then we can get the data type with the class function, and we can make a string data using the seek vector function. So we can make the vector with the function c, and each element is the string with the person's last names, Kim, Oh, Jung, Park. So after that, we make another vector, and we can check the vector, and then we can make our second data frame with the character 1, number 1, and string 1, right? But the point is, the character 1 has the 5 rows, right? And number 1 has 5 rows too. However, string 1 has 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, right? So we can modify um, the vector, string vector with the Kim, Oh, Jung, Park, Kang. And after that, if we try to make a data frame 2, the 3 vectors has the same length of the rows, right? So finally, we can make a data frame 2 successfully, and then check the result using data frame 2 variable typing, and then we can also get the data frame 2 data type with the calling class function, right? So we will test it together, all right? So we can make a string 1 and assignment, and can make a vector, and each vector has 5 elements, and oh, Kim, don't worry about the order of the last names. It is up to you. Jung, Kang, Lim, oh, sorry, Lim, and so on. Then we can make data frame 2 and assignment, and data dot frame function, and character 1, num 1, and string 1. And then we can make data frame 2 together, and right. So we test 2 ways of data frame today with data frame function. As our input parameter for data frame, we first consider the character vector first and numeric vector, and lastly we made our string vector too, and we can also use the class function. So finally, if we want to check dimension of data frame, we can call dim function. So dim returns the dimension of an object. So we can call to data frame first and second too. So if we consider this data frame has 5 rows and 2 columns, but second data frame has 5 rows and 3 columns, right? So you should copy with the print screen in keyboard, and then paste at the bottom of your file. And you can also put your new functions here. First is class. So first is return the data type of input parameter, right? So if you put the character vector, the class returns the character. If you put the integer vector as an input parameter here, the class function returns the integer vector. If you put the string vector as an input parameter for the class function, this function returns the character. That means the string too, right? And then if you put the data frame as a parameter of the class function, the function returns the data frame, right? And we can also use the dim for checking, check the dimension of input data, right? So if you put the vector, maybe that dimension is just 1. However, if you put the data frame in the argument place for dim function, we can get the rows and columns together. That can be the one of the metrics, right? So we will also compare metrics and data frame in R later, so don't worry about it. So you can check 2, additionally dim, character 1, yeah, no dimension here because the just a single, right? And then now 1, 2, and this is 2, right? But the data frame is different, right? Okay, and class, okay, character, right? This one, and yeah, because this is the single character, even though strings is the more than 2 alphabet characters, but anyway, that is the character data type, alright? So today we talk about the data frame with the vectors hybrid generations, right? And we also made how can you make vectors using C function and the strings generation, alright? So please repeat this video based on your understanding degree and flexible understanding, alright? So finally, you can put your old traces, both handwriting notes and your word file in your photo album over your cell phone, alright? Um, Plus, please remember and take a look your old materials very frequently without stress every day. If you do that until midterm tests and final tests, you can naturally get enough and more helpful information for R and data analysis. Alright? Thank you for listening. See you next video. Bye bye.